All right, guys, welcome back. I am Sam. Today, guys, we're doing a shootout between the Kawasaki Teryx 800 and also the Polaris General 1000. I know, guys, before you click away, they're not really comparing apples to apples. But one thing that I've really learned is to be able to have a second machine to be able to jump between the two. You learn a lot more about the machine you're in versus just driving it all day. Now, little bit of information, we've had these for a very long time, so I've had a ton of seat time in both. So stay tuned and get to hear which one is the winner. All right, guys, before we jump into this side-by-side comparison, don't forget to hit the subscription button, really helps us out. Follow along, we got a ton of UTV content coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Also, if you guys are in the market for any UTV gear, parts, accessories, or anything, there is a Rocky Mountain ATV link in the description. Head down, click on that. If you click on that and buy gear, we get a small commission, and I appreciate it, really helps us out. All right, guys, like I said, these are not the same machines. This is definitely in a different price point compared to this, so it's not really a fair comparison. But like I mentioned before, having seat time in both of them allows me to also kind of realize differences between the two and things that I like and I don't like. All right, guys, right off the bat, as far as the power concerned, the power, obviously having a 1000 cc versus an 800, it means that the General has more power. It's also a smaller rig, more compact. The acceleration is better. Don't get me wrong, this V-twin 800 is fantastic. Now, so power-wise, it's gonna go to the General. Now let's talk about the suspension department. So both are actually coming with like a Fox shock on here, and to be completely honest with you, the General rides way smoother than the Teryx. Now it's interesting because the Polaris General has a shorter wheelbase, and sometimes that means you bounce a little bit more versus maybe having a longer wheelbase. But especially when it's slow, the General is definitely better. Now here's something interesting. I went and did a top end speed test, and this had 5 miles per hour more on the top end. This actually did not feel nearly as safe as this did at top speed. This felt like nothing. This kind of started wanted to dart and weave a little bit, which made me a little bit nervous. All right, let's talk about the interior. So the interior on the Kawasaki is good. Now, it's really outdated. So I would say it's good, but not great. It functions well, it does everything you need to. There's nothing there to really break. And you know, we have over 7,000 miles on this rig, and nothing's broke on it, and nothing's broke on it at all. So the reliability of it has been fantastic, which we'll get into a little bit more. But it's just hasn't been changed for a long time. It's not super awesome. Go over here to the General, where this feels like a mini truck or a mini car. It has all sorts of electronics in there. It's got a big screen that you can use a GPS, and you know, has a backup camera. So definitely the fit and finish for the interior on the General is much better, including the seats. So the seats on the Teryx aren't bad, but the Generals are much better. All right, let's talk about what it's like to drive each of these machines. So the Teryx, when you first get in, it does not feel like a big machine until you get into the General. So the General is going to feel a little bit more compact. Obviously, it's a two-seater, which definitely helps, but everything feels narrower. Where the Teryx doesn't feel bad, especially compared to some of the other machines we have, it feels still really narrow and compact. Let's talk about the downhill hold you back. For our longest time, Polaris has been notoriously bad at holding you back with their CVT transmissions as you're going down the hill. They have since fixed that. This General holds you back really well. So does the Kawasaki Teryx. But here's the thing. I prefer the CVT on the Kawasaki still over the Polaris's. And here's why. I feel like the Polaris is still super clunky, and it does weird things between 0 miles per hour and 12. It's wanting to slow you down, And so if you're trying to stay at like a 7 to 10 mile per hour range, it gets super lurchy. Very annoying, not a big fan. I feel like we've had better luck using this at low speeds than we have with the General's CVT at low speeds. All right, so like I mentioned, this one has around 7,700 miles, and this one has around 3,200 miles, so 3,200 miles. So both have high mileage. They both have been doing really well. I feel like we're gonna have to do a little bit more work to the clutch on this pretty soon, versus this just keeps going strong. So I feel the win goes to the Kawasaki for reliability, but overall experience and the fit and finish, the Polaris is definitely hands down the better option. But let's talk about the last thing. So if you're made of money and you've got a ton of money, the General might be the better option to go. It's significantly more expensive than the Kawasaki Teryx. So for me, if I had to pick a machine for just ripping down the trails and it's something that I wanted for a long time, I'd actually go with the Kawasaki Teryx. I know that's super strange, but for me, it's like I want to buy something and have it last a long time and not break down and not have issues, where I kind of don't trust the General as much. And that could just be me, but that's just my opinion. The General is better on the road, you know, on the suspension, the interior, but there's one thing that I absolutely hate about the General is this. So when you're sitting in the General, it feels really nice, but when you're looking straight or down the trail, especially if you're trying to go up the hill, you see the very top of the roof line. And if you have a windshield wiper, you're basically looking right at the windshield wiper. I'm 5'11", not super tall, so anyone above that, you know, 6 feet and taller, it's gonna be super annoying. So I wish Polaris would fix that. It's not fun having to drive all day trying to look up, especially when you're wearing a helmet inside the cab. And the one thing I really wish Kawasaki did was I wish the suspension was just a little bit smoother. Now, obviously we could adjust some of that out with tire choice and also suspension choice, but from the showroom floor, I just feel like it's a little bit outdated and clunky. And I feel like I would be more excited to be riding in this if that was the case. So honestly, each have their own place. You know, if you've got the money, the General is going to be a smoother ride. It's definitely rips down the road. It's a more fun ride than the Teryx. But if you just want something that's not super expensive, that's more affordable and super reliable, the Kawasaki Teryx 800 V-twin to me is the proper choice. All right, guys, what one would you choose? Would you go with this one or that one? Let me know in the comments below. And guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more UTV content. We're going to be pitting these up against our other machines. We have a Honda Pioneer 1000. We got a Commander 1000 to pit against this. We have a Defender, a couple Razors, a bunch of other stuff I'm probably forgetting as well. They're not all mine, but they're just friends and family. But we just want to kind of go through each of these UTVs. We're just normal guys, everyday guys that use these to have fun with the family, go out camping, hunting, and use them around the farm and also the cabin. So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching.